Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
Officers from the LAPD and DEA carried out a major drug bust this morning, and Eyewitness News was the only television station there when it happened. Mark Cota-Robles was there and joins us now with more on what we've learned about the 16 people arrested. Mark.
An early call for LAPD SWAT officers this morning, well before 2 a.m., loading up and heading out. Our cameras alongside as they drove to Cerritos to take down a drug kingpin with ties to Skid Row. SWAT surrounding this home on Teresa Court. Calling for their suspect to come out. Within 15 minutes, he did. Walking backwards with his hands up, identified as 48-year-old Derrick Turner, considered by the LAPD to be a big-time dealer of cocaine, meth, and heroin, focusing almost exclusively to Skid Row clientele. Moments later, Turner's wife and children heard crying as they too emerged from the home. LAPD has been tracking Turner for quite a while and had information that he was armed this morning with at least an AK-47 and a scoped rifle. His arrest, just one of 16 made this morning. LAPD telling us their narcotics investigation was opened more than a year ago, and previous warrants, major amounts of drugs have been seized. 13 kilos of cocaine, 22 pounds of meth, 20 pounds of heroin, and a lot of cash, including $600,000 in $1 bills.
Now you know what I look like till you cut the lights off?
As for the warrants served this morning, the LAPD is withholding some of the details, including how much cash, drugs, or weapons were seized this time around, but they did say this narcotics investigation is not connected to recent overdoses on Skid Row involving a synthetic marijuana known as Spice.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We're on our way to Los Angeles with it. Sunny California. Motherfucking Skid Row to be exact, nigga. Fuck expected that, man. All my niggas from Cali, y'all niggas tap in. All my niggas from LA, y'all tap in. And if you ever been or know anything about Skid Row, I need y'all niggas to get in the comment box immediately, because it's a lot of fucking questions we got that we want answered. Now, I'm going to try to help make this episode as simple and easy to follow as possible. So today, we are going to be covering a guy by the name of Derrick Turner. Now, some of you guys might have remembered Derrick Turner for the widespread or the national media coverage that his case received when he was found with $600,000 worth of $1 bills when his house was busted, or the outrage that he was serving the people at Skid Row. Now, for the people that don't know what Skid Row is, now I've never been, but I'm a little cultured, like I said, and like everybody know. But not everybody is as cultured as your boy Popalot, man. So first, before we can even talk about Derrick Turner in detail or even break down this case in detail, let's talk a little bit about Skid Row or the history of Skid Row. Now, Skid Row is a neighborhood that is located in downtown Los Angeles. The area is also known as Central City East. Now, as of 2019, the population of the district was 4,757 people. Skid Row contains one of the largest stable population of homeless people in the United States, and has been known for its condensed homeless population since the 1930s. Its long history of police raids, targeted city initiatives and homeless advocacy makes it one of the most notable districts in Los Angeles. Now, Skid Row actually covers 50 city blocks, and that's going to be 2.71 square miles. And those 50 blocks are immediately east of downtown Los Angeles. Skid Row is bordered by 3rd Street to the north, by 7th Street to the south, Alameda Street to the east, and Main Street to the west. Now that we got that broken down, y'all pretty much understand what it is. And if anybody got a Skid Row in their city, y'all get in the comment box. Shit, I remember I lived in Miami, and before they built the new American Airlines arena, or whatever the fuck the arena was before that, right under the bridge, they had like a apartment complex of homeless people, and they was living in cardboard boxes. All my niggas from Miami, what the fuck is the name of that shit, yo? I passed that shit on a bus going to the stadium one time. I'm like, nigga, what the fuck? Nigga, I came from Brooklyn, like coming from Brooklyn, that shit fucked me up. Brooklyn, you might see a homeless nigga on the fucking train, sleeping outside, but you don't see hundreds of homeless people. Or I never been to a place where you see just hundreds at fucking one time. You might see like 10 sleeping on the road, don't get me wrong, but this shit is like a homeless neighborhood, nigga. 50 city blocks. So now that we broke down Skid Row, yeah, like I said, y'all get in the comment box, man. Let me know what's the Skid Row of your city. So that's gonna be where the outrage came in, because the advocates for the homeless would say that Derrick Turner was preying on them. They didn't have any hope. They didn't have any means to take care of themselves, and he targeted them with drugs like heroin and cocaine. Now let's break down the details of his arrest. Now this shit is all gonna kick off right about April 2016 when Los Angeles police arrest a man that they believe is a Skid Row drug kingpin, and that's gonna be none other than Derrick Turner at his suburban home in Cerritos, along with 15 others, as part of an early morning sweep targeting downtown's infamous drug market. Authorities said that the goal was to break up what officials described as a dominant drug ring supplying cocaine and heroin on the streets of downtown LA at a time when the homeless population is rising, along with concerns about crime. Now, like I said, amongst the evidence that was seized was $600,000 in $1 bills. Now, according to LAPD Captain Andrew Newman, these are his words, quote, "The fact it was $1 bills tell you a lot about his business on Skid Row." Now, according to my research, it looks like this investigation could have been prompted by a rise in overdose deaths that people on Skid Row was suffering from dealing with synthetic marijuana, or spice that they call it. But somehow that shit led to Derrick Turner's doorstep, and Derrick Turner ended up being charged with 3 felonies, including possession of narcotics for sale, receiving the proceeds of drug sales, and conspiracy. Now, in addition to Turner, 3 other people were charged with the same case. It's going to be a female by the name of Chastity Jackson, a gentleman by the name of Henry Walker, and another gentleman by the name of Louis Bernard McAdoo. Now, police would raid Turner's home in a cul-de-sac on Teresa's Court, which was one of 20 locations that was raided by the LAPD and the Regional Drug Task Force. Now, police ended up arresting 16 out of 20 suspects whom they had warrants for. Through their investigation, police uncovered that Derrick Turner is an Athens Blood gang member, but he works very closely with the Grape Street gang in order to sell drugs, according to detectives. Now, after authorities ran through the 600,000 in ones that it took them probably 4 hours or however 8 hours to count, once they made it to the rest of the money and they finished tallying up the count, it was somewhere around 1.8 or 2 million, or who knows how much it was before they took their little cut off the top of it. And for all of his hard work, Derrick Skid Row Turner ended up being sentenced to 11 years. And here's where we're going to get to the kicker. Now, 2 years after Mr. Turner was sentenced, sometime in May of 2008, a longtime undercover operative for the Los Angeles Police Department, has filed a claim against the city of Los Angeles, alleging that he was stiffed by the LAPD on his payment for the 2016 bust of the Skid Row drug kingpin Derrick Turner that brought in almost $2 million and made headlines around the world. Now, the informant, who contends he helped make that bust happen, said he still hadn't been paid by the LAPD. On May 7th of 2018, he filed charges for damages. Now, that was the first step towards filing a lawsuit. He claimed that the LAPD was refusing to pay him $180,000, or 10% of the cash recovery plus the amount of money for the drugs and weapons seizures to which he was entitled. Now, that's a fucking mind-blowing shit for your ass. So, anybody, y'all watch out. Now, if y'all knew that a nigga that snitched on you gonna get 10% of everything you had, you would keep another nigga from around you. Now, like I said, that the bust of Derrick Turner happened on April 26, 2016. This is almost 2 years later, and the informant is still crying for his payment. Because not only that, it said he is entitled to 10% of the cash recovery plus the amount of money for the drugs and weapons seizures. So they found $2 million. They found 5 firearms. They found 22 pounds of methamphetamine, 13 pounds of cocaine, 20 pounds of heroin. And that was all found during the raid on April 26, 2016. Man, this nigga was on some mob tie shit, man. Y'all niggas make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all hit the bell for the subscribe when that new shit is dropping. We're going to be back with some more real trill spill shit. You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb, ties.